Jaxson Ryker's diabolical tweets, both Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake had been let go from WWE while Ryker remained.
That's fucking crazy because it wasn't even their fault.
Oh, what's up? Oh, what's up?
Yo, what up? It's Samaj back here in another video. Today we're about to be reacting to a video by WrestleMania. The video is going to be on 10 WWE wrestler pushes that died in real time. Before we get into this video, sorry, I tried to record and I played like a little bit of the video, sorry, but I was tripping on the audio. But then I read in his tagged comment, he said he had to soften the audio because copyright. So yeah, do what you want with that. So it's going a little bit muffled on like the reaction part, but you probably can hear me crystal clear at least. But before we get into this, I feel like this is probably just gonna be by like, you know, people botching, or, you know, Vince McMahon's WWE, you know, him not liking wrestlers or some shit. You know how it goes with this history of like people just pushes that just stop out of nowhere, or he could just plain out not like you, or a wrestler could just get hit with a non-lucky stick and, you know, be in Triple H's era and still not get pushed. That's a lot of wrestlers nowadays. But don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and don't forget to leave a like on the wrestling videos, man. If you've been enjoying them. Let's get into it.
Sin Cara. Unquestionably,
I
the
knew
most
it.
infamous example of a WWE push dying in real time was a character of Sin Cara, as he was rendered dead on arrival after he botched his flashy ring entrance on night 1. Having been heavily touted as one of the biggest free agent signings that WWE could have made, the former Mystico was booked to debut on the Raw after WrestleMania 27, where he was to save Daniel Bryan from a post-match beatdown courtesy of Sheamus. The issues instantly arose when he began sprinting down from the ramp. WWE, wanting something elegant to showcase his mastery of lucha libre, had planned.
Bro, they put a whole edit together for this nigga. They had so much high praise for this nigga, bro. I mean, I don't want to always totally blame it on Sin Cara every time his name pop up in these like videos. Like, it was just like a miscommunication. Like, he wasn't used to this shit, and like, I guess WWE does it different, bro. And he was probably just used to wrestling Mexico style, and, you know, not used to all this, you know, I don't know, it might be the scenery and how WWE does things. Probably it was just different for him.
For Sin Cara's entrance to involve a trampoline that would allow him to somersault into the ring. But when he miscalculated the trajectory needed for the jump and crushed himself on the top rope, there was no saving him. Regrettably, the man who had once been the biggest draw in Mexican wrestling suffered endlessly throughout his 3-year stay with WWE, making repeated mistakes that didn't align with a wrestler of his talent. Plans for Sin Cara to fill the role of being the next Rey Mysterio were quickly discarded, and for the best. Number 9. Kaval. Kaval, the artist better known as a low.
That's one other thing they always make. Stop trying to make the next Rey Mysterio. Stop trying to make the next Undertaker. Leave like a superstar how they are and see what they can do. If they flounder, they flounder. If they decide to just surprise you and get their gimmick over, do it. Push him.
He is one of those wrestlers who never should have signed with WWE because he was never going to be able to be his authentic self. His signature in-ring style of kicking people as hard as he could wasn't going to fly under Vince McMahon, but it was Dolph Ziggler who found out the hard way why Kaval has the reputation he does. Challenging Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship at the 2010 Survivor Series, Kaval defied direct orders to tone himself down by delivering a stiff kick to Dolph's face, drawing blood from his nose. In fairness, the move appeared to be a botch, as he whipped Dolph into the corner, who seemed to be attempting to reverse the Irish whip, as he stumbled back and was met with Kaval's foot right in his face before he could position himself.
Christ, that was a nasty hit. I can compare this to when Kofi kicked the shit out of the Miz in the temple right there. But that was planned. This shit wasn't planned. I heard like a whole fucking, I think I saw a whole video on my own when like it was just about Kaval, aka I forgot his name on the indie scene. Yeah, I forgot his name on the indie scene. He might tell us, but it's just like a whole video out there, a bunch of videos out there of him being so dang difficult on the indies and every other promotion, and he just do not care. He just he's always breaking the rules. And people, like always got a ton of problems with him.
properly. Regardless, not only was Kaval's push pinned off shortly after this, but he was too, as he was released approximately 4 weeks later. And allegedly this was done because he had requested to be let go, but he has refuted these claims for the past 16 years. Cass. The brazen decision by WWE to separate Enzo Amore and Big Cass in 2017 did neither man any favors, despite the company's best efforts.
I always think this would be dumb as fuck, bro. Why the fuck did you like separate these guys? They never was tag team champions. Like, you never gave them a chance to, like, you gave them a chance at the chance, but like, it was like a damn babyface ass thing where, you know, the babyface just never wins. And it was just like a Sami Zayn thing. He just like never wins, and he finally wins the big one. They always the underdog, basically. The underdog storyline does not work every time, bro. But like, I mean, at least they were together and over as fuck still. But like, you decide to split them up. But I mean, Enzo Amore on his own was pretty good and pretty good talk. He wasn't a good wrestler, but he improved in the last years. But like Big Cass, it was over.
They gave Enzo 2 runs with the Cruiserweight Championship before his past came back to bite him, while Big Cass, after recovering from a torn ACL, received Daniel Bryan's first major program post-in-ring clearance. The feud resulted in 2 ugly matches between the duo at the 2018 Backlash and Money in the Bank pay-per-views before Cass was then released. But the writing was already on the wall after he legitimately went off script during an episode of SmackDown. During a segment that featured a little person dressed as Bryan, Cass had been told he could perform a big boot, nothing more. Instead, however, the 7-footer lay into the 4-footer with a further insult to injury that would later be edited out of replays, reportedly sending McMahon into a rage. The fact that Cass lost both of his matches to Daniel Bryan.
If something is not planned and, you know, that little person decides to sue WWE, because like that shit is not what they agreed on. That's a fucking whole liability. So I get why they had to just like let this dude go. Probably so much of pent up aggression and so much of stuff he did in like the past months and in the past, and kind of got him just out the door.
Was zero surprise. Reflecting on the incident during a 2019 interview with Pro Wrestling Sheet, Cass admitted that it was effing stupid of him to go off script. It was an effing mistake. It was a dumb decision on my part. So stupid. It was probably the worst decision I ever made. And it's so crazy what I was going through at the time. Because if you would have told me anybody 2 years prior, even a year prior, that I was gonna do that, they would have said, "You're effing crazy. He's a model employee." I regret it to this day. So effing stupid. 7. Marty Jannetty. Marty Jannetty has famously lived more lives than a particularly fortunate cat, but not even his friendship and ongoing rivalry with Shawn Michaels could save him from unemployment at the start of 1993. Roughly 1 year after their acclaimed breakup, Jannetty and Michaels were finally slated to collide on pay-per-view, contesting the Heartbreak Kids IC Championship at the Royal.
And I'm not gonna lie, I seen one of the videos of him just getting literally hired back so many times. So like, at least he got that under his belt of just getting hired a lot.
Creed Brothers. Promoted to the main roster in October 2023, the Creed Brothers had a seemingly bright future ahead, having dominated the preceding 2 years in NXT, but any potential success that awaited them on Monday nights were promptly binned following an infamous match against Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Challenging for the Undisputed Tag Team Championships on the December 18th, 2020.
Bro, that's crazy. I remember these guys are just like up next. I'm not gonna lie, they were literally up next, bro. Because I remember when they came up from like the NXT thing. I kind of hate when people come up from the NXT like brand now, because I just know they're just gonna be out the door, bro. It's like they highlighted NXT, and it's just sad now. They just might be out the door, and the pushes will not happen. They just go end up becoming a jobber on the fucking, you know, the main roster. Sometimes it can end differently for a lot of people, but like it kind of was. It was kind of annoying because like these guys are actually pretty good, bro. Like they could have been like the next Kurt Angle like tag team or something like that.
23 episode of Raw, Brutus and Julius are said to have legitimately hurt Damian Priest after slightly botching their own finishing move. The spot, which involved Brutus launching himself into Priest from the top rope while Julius held him in an electric chair position, saw Brutus accidentally land directly on Damian's face. Although there was no permanent damage done, Priest was understandably livid. Things got even worse, however, when the match ended. Having been pinned by Priest following a South of Heaven, Julius Creed did his best impersonation of Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6, kicking out at the count of 3.1. With this, the one-time NXT Tag Champions disappeared from WWE programming for 4 months, and when they returned, they had become the go-to jobbers for Raw's tag team division. Number 5,
I mean, I could get it how that like really, messed him up in a way, but like don't take so much flack on him that much, bro. If it's any trouble, just send him back to NXT, bro. I'm not gonna cap. Just send him back to NXT, bro. Yeah, I could just like use a few more tag teams there right now. I know I haven't been watching NXT like that, but like I can use a few more people there down there. But like that just sucks. The whole push stops just because like a few mistakes was made. I couldn't get that last part. That pin was, I don't know if it was a mistake or not. He probably probably know or something. I don't know.
Dean Ambrose. 2016 was the pinnacle of Dean Ambrose's singles career in WWE, as he became Mr. Money in the Bank at the namesake pay-per-view and cashed it in that same night against Seth Rollins to win the WWE Championship. It wasn't exactly a memorable reign for him, but it did result in all 3 Shield members holding the industry's richest prize within the space of 5 minutes, as Rollins himself had just toppled Roman Reigns for the belt. It was also during this reign, however, that Ambrose's main event push abruptly ended, and it didn't even happen on a proper piece of programming. Interviewed by Stone Cold Steve Austin on his podcast, which aired on the WWE Network at the time, Ambrose was accused by the Texas Rattlesnake of being lazy and uncooperative in his answers, with one infamous screenshot of Austin snarling at the then WWE champion quickly going viral. Talking to AEW founder Tony Khan on that same podcast 3 years later, which needless to say was no longer a WWE Network exclusive, Stone Cold reflected on the push-ending interview, claiming that it still haunted him all that time later.
Did a Stone Cold podcast a couple years ago with Dean Ambrose, and for whatever reason, we got off on the wrong track, and it was a rough podcast. And I have been carrying 1,000 pounds on my back ever since that happened. I felt so bad about that interview, and I was leading the interview, so I take the fault of it because I'm there to get people over and make them come off like $1,000,000.
Yeah.
And we just come off on the wrong street and just kept taking left.
I mean, I could get why he essentially kind of feels bad because like that kind of like made his push go away. I'm just like, I don't know if this could be the sole reason of why it went away, but like it could be a big chunk of a reason because McMahon probably like still holds Austin like up to here because like he's a legendary ass wrestler and he basically like made them win the Monday Night Wars basically because of their feud. There's a lot of people that contributed, but like mainly it was McMahon versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. You wanted to rule for the Rebel, but like yeah, at least he in his heart like kind of like really feels bad for that because like that shit really it really kind of affected Dean Ambrose's career.
Turns and never got back on track. Well, we never were on track. Well, he had his reasons and I had mine. And for all this time, I felt like shit about that interview. And people said, oh, that's the Stone Cold podcast.
Swiftly relegated to working as the second most important protagonist on the SmackDown behind, of all people, James Ellsworth. Number 4, Kofi
That's
Kingston.
crazy.
The WWE Championship ascendancy of Kofi Kingston at WrestleMania 35 was one of the few highlights from what was an otherwise rotten 2019. From start to finish, the story of Kofi Mania was an emotional rollercoaster that culminated in one of the best endings ever at WrestleMania. As incredible as that moment was, Kofi was almost on track to reach the mountaintop almost a full decade earlier. At the end of 2009 heading into 2010, Kingston was feuding with Randy Orton, who was fresh off having traded the WWE Championship back and forth with John Cena.
And he was fresh off of just like, getting through more demons than usual. I mean, I know the story already, bro. Kofi essentially made a mistake, bro. This was like a case of just like somebody making a mistake and like it not going in the person's favor, really not going in the person's favor. Because like once like, somebody, a respected wrestler tells you about, tells like McMahon about a younger wrestler, they don't want to wrestle with them no more, then it ends up becoming something bad. Or it delays their career, ends up with a firing. Yeah, we seen this whole video right now, man.
And this feud even included a trilogy of key highlights that helped define Kofi's career. He sent the Viper through a table at Madison Square Garden with a boom drop, he poured orange paint all over Orton's new car, and he scored the final elimination over Randy during a 5-on-5 elimination match at 2009 Survivor Series. It was all going so well until it wasn't. Competing in a triple threat match alongside Orton and Cena during the January 11th, 2010 episode of Raw, Kofi mistimed a wake-up spot that left Randy Orton irate. He was smacking his hands on the mat, the sign that an RKO was on the way, but Kingston stood up too quickly, robbing the moment of any gravitas. Randy still delivered an RKO, but not before shoving Kofi back down and memorably barking stupid. Number 3, the Forgotten Sons. A professional wrestling is supposed to be an escape from the dark reality of life, and thus whatever political controversies are going on in the world should never be brought into the kayfabe world of wrestling. Jaxson Ryker clearly missed that memo, or more likely chose to ignore it, because he used social media to voice public support for Donald Trump in June of 2020.
Like, why the fuck would you do this, bro? Like, stuff is already political enough as it is in WWE. Well, kind of hiding the, the innuendos now, because now it's kind of different because TKO's in charge. But even back then, it was still crazy enough to just get you just like messed up. Like, look at how many like tweets, like comments this got over like reposts. I'm pretty sure those reposts were like hate reposts, and likes 900 and some likes. It's probably like from like other weirdos that's have like the same, stuff as him.
Following the tragic events surrounding George Floyd, needless to say, Ryker was strongly condemned by countless others, including Kevin Owens and Mustafa Ali, and digging deeper into his digital footprint revealed further abhorrent posts. At the time, he'd just been called up to the main roster as part of the Forgotten Sons, alongside Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake, with Cutler and Blake reportedly gearing up to feud with the New Day over the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Instead, however, those plans changed direction, and the trio never appeared together again. Grimly within a year of Jaxson Ryker's diabolical tweets, both Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake had been let go from WWE, while Ryker remained.
That's fucking crazy because it wasn't even their fault. Wow.
Number 2, Ridge Holland. It's always unfortunate when a move you've done several times before injures your opponent, but it's worse when it ends their career. That was the sad fate that followed Ridge Holland, as on the March 11, 2002 episode of SmackDown, an overhead belly-to-belly suplex he performed on Big E went astray, resulting in the former WWE champion being spiked into the ringside mat. He had legitimately broken his neck, and now 4 years on from that incident, he has been declared officially retired from in-ring competition. At the time, Holland had only recently joined the Blue Brand and formed the Brawling Brutes alongside Sheamus and Butch. And while he enjoyed the odd flicker of success post-botch, he was never viewed as highly ever again, and would eventually be released from his contract in 2025 while recovering from an injury of his own. Speaking of Mike Rand,
Man, I mean, his story is essentially sad too, because I really loved Big E as a whole wrestler. I'm pretty sure everybody did, because he was part of like one of the most iconic trio groups in WWE in a long ass time. And like when this abruptly happened and it ended, I was like angry as fuck, and I kept like giving him shit for it. But like, like Big E was like the big person, and he really didn't want to blame them. So, I kind of didn't really go along with that. But like, other people online will literally keep on like, scolding this nigga and giving him hate for this shit. But like, higher ups and everybody else kind of seen this as like he's an unsafe worker, and it's unfortunate that that happened.
following his WWE exit, Ridge explained that he believed ending Big E's career also ended his.
Big E was a huge star and so loved. That there was a massive backlash, and even me being relatively new on the roster as well, even to the higher, it just is what it is. And I would say that, like, yeah, Big E's career unfortunately ended that day, but I think so did mine in a way, but at least my career with WWE, I always regret it.
And number 1, Mabel.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That it's just a lot to carry on your conscience, because like you essentially kind of ended somebody's career basically, and you just never was saw as like another, basically another guy that can hold up another guy, and they'll never trust him or something.
Of all the failed main event pushes orchestrated by Vince McMahon, Mabel is among the most curious cases. The super heavyweight was established as a major attraction in the summer of '95 as he won the King of the Ring tournament to end a WWF Championship match at SummerSlam. It was truly one of the most baffling pushes in history, and one that mercifully ended almost as quickly as it began, as the now King Mabel accidentally injured 2 of the actual main event stars of the time. First, he legitimately injured Diesel's back after delivering a sit-down splash with his full
Oh my god. Ooh, I can get why this push really just, like, flat out ended. That's a whole ass 500-pound man just like sitting down on your back. Just imagine anybody like not of Diesel's stature just getting crushed by this guy. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm glad they ended his push right there for that one.
500-pound frame at SummerSlam, which would have cost him his job had Big Daddy Cool not stepped in against Vince McMahon's best wishes. More seriously, however, while working the house show loop against The Undertaker, an errant shot to the face left the dead man with a broken orbital bone, which forced him to start wearing his
Jesus.
infamous Phantom of the Opera-style protective mask. This time, McMahon got his way, and Mabel was shown the door, though he did later resurface, numerous times. Even more curious is that Mabel had originally been planned to defeat Diesel at SummerSlam, becoming WWF champion.
What?
Mercifully, Vince McMahon had a change of heart, saving the audiences from having a King Mabel dictatorship and saving the company from going right under. But there you have it, folks. 10 WWE.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, okay. Number one was rightfully right, even though this nigga got rehired because, like, you know, I guess some Kevin saved his ass, and then you know, the Undertaker, what he finally got his way with that one. But then why did Vince McMahon hire this nigga back again? You know, we can always be curious about that, but like, one hand, I'ma just say I would be fucking pissed. A whole 500 ass nigga, 500-pound ass nigga, and you sit flat ass on my back like that, bro. Jesus Christ. This is why I'm afraid of like big wrestlers, bro, because they could potentially just end your career or, you know, hurt the fuck out of you. Let me know what was your guys' favorite. But that one at the end, number one is just mine. It's my favorite. And then, you know, what's his name? The guy that ended Big E's career, bro. I really hate that whole thing had to happen. But don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and go check out WrestleMania's original video. And we are on the road to I think 750. Yeah, there we go. Catch you guys in the next video.
He was the best guy around. What about the people he murdered? What murder?